In this episode of Reset Diaries, we dive into the journey of an Indian fashion designer who moved to the US as a trailing spouse, leaving behind a well established label in India to start her career afresh. Now, thriving in the US, she curates latest fashion for Indian diaspora for their weddings, everyday life, and more. She has also become a personal stylist to high profile executive coaches and corporate professionals. Her expertise in fashion helps her clients project a strong, powerful, and a confident image. Today, we will talk a lot about personal styling, the role of stylists, and some tips and tricks. Welcome, Tina.
Thank you so much. That was too fantastic an introduction.
Hope I did justice to.
Absolutely. And a little bit more.
All right, so we'll begin. So, Tina, can you share a little bit about your fashion background and why you chose this career path specifically?
So, fashion is, you can say it's pretty much in my blood because I remember like one of my oldest memories is of me, collecting candy wrappers and then snipping them into clothing shapes. And this is when I was 8 years old. So, that was pretty much my childhood. I knew that I had to do something that is creative. And
Okay.
luckily, I got to study fashion design at NIF Bombay. And yeah, that from there, my journey of fashion was, unstoppable.
So, can you also share a little bit about your label that you started in India? Which did you have to like let go completely, or?
I knew that I wanted to get into fashion. Moving into the US was never one of them. Starting my label definitely was. I knew that I had to do my own business. Even before I started studying fashion. So that was one thing I knew I had to do. And I started my label in 2012, Matt Sam Tinzin, with three other friends of mine that were also studying fashion with me at my design school. And we did everything. So we were styling, we were working with Bollywood celebrities. We had a flagship store of our own. We had a full production unit. We were working with the top notch multi designer stores in India and also in London, in the US, even before I moved here. So, it was a full, well established, well oiled machine. And then I fell in love with my then boyfriend, now husband. And I kind of decided to take the plunge and move here. And even before I moved into the US, I started doing my groundwork to understand what kind of, what the Indian fashion scene looked like here in the US, because I had absolutely no idea. It's not like I knew anybody here. It's not like I had family here.
Mhm.
And my husband's from the tech world.
Yeah.
They're
So
like
there's
remotely.
synergy. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I was completely polar opposites, right? So when I started doing my research, I did realize that there is a huge market and there's also a huge potential. And so when I made the move here, I started with expanding my brand. I started doing trunk shows to see what the market looked like. And the more I met people and the more I started expanding my business here, I
Hmm.
realized that there was a huge gap between what the Indian fashion meant to people here
Hmm.
versus what we're actually selling back in India.
Hmm.
So I think my initial
They
couple
were
of
different times because that's something you often hear that the diaspora fashion is not up to date because clearly they are not traveling as much, not
yeah,
getting the latest stuff.
I would it's and that is true. When I moved here, I was like, oh my god, I took like a flight and I was like, the countries only have like a 12-hour time difference. But dude, this is like more than a decade of fashion that is stuck
Yeah.
behind. And I totally understand the reason for that also.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because people who are born, most of my clients who are actually born here, right? And
Hmm.
so they've grown up, their idea of Indian fashion comes from what their moms wear or what their aunts wear, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And those women and those people had actually left India,
Yeah.
centuries.
Yeah.
So their idea, and of course, there's not much available in terms of what you're exposed to, was very, very limited. Yeah, I understand that. And my initial challenge was actually to bridge that gap and to educate people about how Indian fashion truly. So initially, trunk shows were more about educating
Hmm.
than actually selling. And then thankfully, the whole like shift in, designers visiting the US and me
Hmm.
bringing the brands here, people getting exposed to online portals. I guess like that kind of shifted in the last 3-4 years.
So, is your target audience largely Indian diaspora, or you also have some of the Westerners?
It is for people who, for people who can translate it into different attires in their own lifestyle. So I have a lot of people that wear these outfits for jazz fests,
Yeah.
launching of their labels. I've had clients wear it for Mardi Gras parties, and they love the ease of the outfits. They love
Mm.
the prints. And so I feel it is about sustaining our culture through
Right.
fashion.
Yeah, yeah, it's exploding. And I have seen so many women here in Singapore also wearing those cotton saris, very neatly, nicely tied with a belt in like one of the fanciest events and
Yeah.
concerts. And it's just amazing to see
It's
that how
lovely.
well.
Yeah, it's lovely. I know
Yeah,
that US is like, is it could or could not mean cultural
yeah, yeah.
inappropriation? But and that's why I think they're very happy buying from me, because they're like, you're an Indian, and is it okay for me to wear it? So
All right. So we'll move to your pivot towards becoming a style consultant. What made you venture into that?
right. So as I was mentioning, I moved here and I was retailing my own fashion brand, and then the thought that had come into my head was that I was selling like $1,000 outfits to people,
Hmm.
uh, but that still did not ensure that they were looking their best for that event. And
Hmm.
when I started seeing that as a pattern, I realized that my job just does not end at selling. You know, I
Hmm.
want to make sure that they're looking like $1 million when they finally turn up to that event. So this thought was already in my head, and then COVID happened, and that gave me the time, the bandwidth to sit and think about everything, form a strategy. How do I want to approach it? What do I want to solve? Everything. And so that's how my personal styling venture kind of came along. And as of today, I work with, of course, Indian wear styling, but I also work with people's day-to-day wardrobe, since I realized that these are all kind of interconnected. It's a web, and the basis of that is personal styling, because when a person understands what kind of silhouettes work for them, what kind of colors look good on them, what are the latest trends, how they can translate these trends into their own lifestyle, it becomes very, very easy for them to make an informed decision for any lateral. So it could be anything that they're buying. Yeah.
We'll jump into the details of what does a style consultant do exactly, because I'm sure the listeners and including me, we are very curious. What do they do? Do they shop for you? Do they just guide you? And especially, I believe you'll be doing a lot of remote sessions also because you can't be always in
Yeah.
person with your client. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But before that, I want to ask you one very important question, which is often, fashion is blamed that it's all about vanity. Or do you think something shifts deeper within a person? Or how can one's style enhancement overall improve their confidence projection and their overall self image projection? What do you think in your experience you've seen?
That is a great question, Asta. Like, I think it's basically touches the core of what I do, like literally. And I really wish that it was as simple as that. My job would have been so much simpler. But nothing is really about vanity. Even the simpler things in life, like us wearing makeup for that matter, it is
Hmm.
it is not about just looking good. It is about the emotion that it kind of creates in you when you wear that makeup. And even in movies they always do this, right? When like the main character is really down and low, they're like, oh, let's do like a get ready session, right?
Yeah, yeah, makeover.
Exactly. And
Yeah,
why is it always portrayed like that? Because there is
yeah.
truth in that matter, right? If you are
Hmm.
if you are wearing good clothes, you're not just looking good, but you're feeling good.
Hmm.
And that's how it actually translates. Now, if you're walking into a room, it's your outfits are going to tell your story even before you say a single word.
Hmm.
And it will then kind of prompt people to form perceptions about you.
Right.
And in a way, that is how they are perceiving you, and then that is how they are interacting with you. Think about it like you are wearing your mood, your character, and your personality in just your outfits.
Yeah. True.
That
True.
is what a style is.
Yeah.
You
As
can
you
look.
say, money can buy fashion, but it cannot buy style. That's something you
Yes.
cultivate over the
Yes.
years.
And what I love about this profession is that it's not like people don't have an innate style. Everybody does, right? You will obviously gravitate towards a certain colors, certain silhouettes. You're
Mm,
like, I like wearing skirts. I love wearing dresses, right?
mm,
I
mm,
don't I don't like to wear blacks, or I love monotones, or we always have those preferences. It's just that we don't understand how you can translate those preferences into looks that are, that work
Yeah.
for your lifestyle, that work for your body type. So ideally, everybody has an innate sense of style. It is just that you need to polish it with a style expert and understand how you can translate that in your life.
Right. Wonderful. Since you spoke about style expert, and now I want to digress to what does a style consultant do exactly? What's your objective as a style expert? So can you walk us through your typical process when you onboard a client? What do they have to do with you?
Okay. So, as I said, that this is a very collaborative process, right? So, it starts with a consultation, a basic consultation, where I just get to know a little bit details about you, which follows to my first wardrobe consultation, which is about a 2-3 hour session, can be done virtually or physically, depending on where you are. And this session will entail for me to have you try things that you love, things that you feel confident in, all the colors that you gravitate towards, the styles that you are your personal favorites, the styles that you think you can never wear from your wardrobe, and match it with the footwear that you wear or the accessories that you generally pick. This entire session allows for me to understand what your personality is, what are the kind of silhouettes that work for your body type, what are the colors that actually enhance your skin tone, what are the kind of cuts that will work for your body frame, right? And what is the perception that you want people to have. Now this could be at work, this could be personally. For instance, I for a woman, working in corporate field, it happens very often that I'm at very senior positions and I want to be taken seriously, but I for that I don't want to wear black pants and white shirt to work every day. I don't want to dress up like the men.
So
I
the
want to.
objective of client is very clear that they want to work on their professional fashion or their personal everyday day-to-day fashion. Is it like
Yeah,
that?
so they understand that bit. They also,
Okay.
sometimes what happens is that clients don't understand where what is going wrong, but they know that there is something that is not working right. You know, I
Mm-hmm.
dress up a lot, but I don't know, in my work, I just feel like I'm the odd one out, or nobody takes me seriously. Or you've had a body shift, recently shifted a lot of sizes, and you're like, oh my God, I don't know what to wear. I look at my,
Right.
I have nothing. So they know that they have a problem. With my
Hmm.
first session, it is my responsibility to kind of dig in to understand
Hmm.
where all that problem is leaking in your life.
Right. Right.
So, is it in your professional setting? Is it in your personal setting? What kind of outfits do you wear for your weekends? Understand what your day to day life looks like. What are your
Mm.
interactions like? Who do you interact with? Are you interacting with a lot of people who are elder to you or people who are younger than you? In what kind of professional setting or in a personal setting? So, I understand all of that with the first session.
Right.
We
Right.
then move on from there. Based on that first session, I curate a shopping list, and that shopping list is to the T. So, based off of what you have on your wardrobe, what looks good on your body type, a lot of times there are these one off silhouettes in your wardrobe, and that you've never worn, you've never touched. Now,
Mm.
the reason is that if there is a top that you've never worn, probable reason is maybe you don't have the right bottom for it.
Mm-hmm.
So based off of that, or I have this camisole, but I don't wear sleeveless, then maybe a simple solution is to get you a right blazer, you know, or a
Mm-hmm.
right overgarment. So more often than not, the solutions are simple, but it is tailored to that person's lifestyle.
Right.
And so I curate a shopping list with everything that I feel you will need to make your wardrobe whole and complete.
All right. All right.
And then once I curate that shopping list, I send that to the client, they approve the budget on it, and
Okay.
then I shop for them, which is very, very important that I shop for them.
Okay. So when you say to the T means it can include footwear,
Every-
belt, earrings. Okay.
yes.
Okay.
So it
Okay.
depends on what the client's like, what the client's lifestyle looks like, and what she already or he whatever they have in their wardrobe. And definitely, footwear is very important. A lot of times, I've seen people ignoring the footwear, but it just it can totally enhance your look, or it can completely undermine the kind of impression you're trying to create if you're not wearing the right footwear.
Right.
So yeah, that with everything, as in I will write that you need a black pair of wide legged high waisted pants. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So once I curate that list, and you've approved the budget, I will
Yeah.
shop those items, but also options. So I'll not
Got
just buy one black wide leg pant for you, but I will buy three options so that we understand what actually works best for you.
So when you buy, let's say if I'm in Singapore and I hire you as a style consultant, when you buy for me, how does that go? So you buy for me in the US or what is it?
So the only thing that is different when I work with virtually clients in different countries is that after I curate a shopping list for you, I will look online in Singapore
Oh, okay.
what we can buy. I'm not going to look for one of those items. I'm going to look for three options in each category. And then either I can share all those links and you can buy all of that, or I can
Okay.
buy that for you. But
Okay.
in
Okay.
Singapore. And once everything comes into you, then
Yeah.
we will do our second session where I will see all the styles that we have shopped for, because I would mostly shop for things that also work with some things that you already have in your wardrobe.
Right,
And so when we
right.
shop for that, that's our second virtual session or physical session, depending, where I will try everything with you. And once
Okay.
I've tried everything with you, we'll both make a selection on what we will keep and what we can return.
Okay. Okay.
And
So it's
that
quite
will
an extensive process.
exactly. So I wish it was as simple as like,
Yeah.
that
Wear this. That's it.
you do good in this and that's okay.
Yeah.
It's not that simple. It's a very educational process. It's a very experiential process because you are seeing so many different styles on you. You're seeing colors that you would have probably never worn, right?
So you capture those blind spots
Yes.
because often we have these inhibitions about certain colors,
Always.
certain styles, because as you said, we always gravitate towards similar things.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also educate you about what is in fashion and how you can translate the trends that are in fashion for your lifestyles. I don't have to pick a trend. I have to help you understand that this is how things are going. But according to your body type and
Yeah.
according to your lifestyle, you can translate this trend in
Right.
this particular manner. So that's how, and that's why it's very personalized, right?
Yeah. It can't be like copy paste that you did this. Yeah. Got
Yeah.
it. Got it.
So
Okay.
and yeah. So and once I'm done shopping for you and we've created all of that, I will post that. Also share a PDF where I basically tell you how you can put all of those different things together and create multiple looks out of it.
Oh, nice.
So
So
it's not
different
just
combination.
like one pair of pants, these particular shoes, and this top. It's and then you can pair it with a white shirt. You can pair it with this thing. You can pair it with different shoes.
Mhm.
So how you can kind of translate that one entire look in 7 different ways.
Right. That's interesting. So, any memorable transformation or makeover experience that you would like to share, which really made you feel that, wow, it really brought out this person in a different light altogether?
I am telling you that I think that's the reason I'm liking my job more and more because the client is like, it's a miracle. And I'm
Yeah.
like, no, not
Yeah.
really. But actually, that's what's been happening. So when I work with people, almost every story is like that.
Yeah.
I'm breaking their preconceived notions. And it's such a lovely process because they obviously trust me for it. But I'm
Right.
willing to take them out of the shell that they have. And they so beautifully emerge out of it, completely owning their style, which I love. Like one of my clients landed her dream job, and not like I'm taking any credit for it, but, but
No, but these little things matter a lot. I mean,
yeah,
because as you said, it improves your self confidence and then the
exactly.
way you, yeah.
Present yourself, the way you
Yeah.
put yourself out to people, right?
Yeah,
And
I just released a podcast with a professional photographer,
right.
and she clearly stated that women are so uptight about the looks. So no
Yeah.
matter how much have we progressed, I think that bottleneck in the mind is still there regarding looks.
Yeah.
So your role is very important.
Yeah. And for women to reach perfection is, I think we're talking about a euphoric world where women think that they are perfect. Oh, that's going to be different. I'm closer to that with the personal style.
Right. Tina, you wear two hats, one of designer, one of stylist. So, can you point out what are the main differences? Like, what are the psychological differences in the way you approach fashion?
Well, so they're two very separate fields, right? A fashion designer is creating fashion. A stylist uses what is already existing, but
Hmm.
just puts things in a very different way. It's imagine like a chessboard. They just put everything in a way that is unique every time. That is their job. A
But
designer kind
but
of
when
creates.
but when a designer creates something, don't they have like a subject in their mind?
Designing is technical. You are working on,
Mm.
I want to create this outfit that should fall so and so wise on a body type. And how am I going to go ahead and cut that fabric so that it creates the fall and the visual that I am trying to create on a person? Now, when you're looking at a stylist, the stylist's main objective is not the outfit, it is
Mm.
the subject.
Mm.
Their concentration is only on
Got
who
it.
is wearing the outfit. And so their job is to make that subject look amazing. And the focus is only on the subject.
Got it. Got it.
So
Got
they're two
it.
very separate, they're two very, very separate perspectives.
Nice. This was quite informative to know. Now, moving on to a little bit of advisory section, I want to ask you what's the role of color in styling, and should one really follow the color thing?
So why is it that you've asked me for a color? Like why is it that the only the color came in your mind?
Because I see a lot of my friends, they're like, oh, I never wear white because, I look dark in it. I never wear yellows because, I'm too bright for it. And this is common thing across the board, and I'm not just talking about South Asian population, but also my friends from Europe, Australia. Even they have these inhibitions about certain colors. They're like, no, on your skin tone, this fluorescent yellow looks so nice. I can never carry it off.
Yeah.
So I want to really ask you about the colors, and should one really follow it?
So the reason that the color analysis has been spoken about too much is because there's a lot of research material on the internet about it, and all these color analysis tests and everything. I think one should understand what kind of color complements your skin tone. However, it should not be a limiting factor. You should use that color analysis as a guide and not as a limitation.
Right.
So, if you are, for example, right, if you are actually going to do a color analysis on me, this beige is going to be washing me out. So, if I just do this beige color, it is something that does not enhance my skin tone. Right. However, if I just do the rust color analysis, the rust is enhancing my skin tone, and this complements me. So, this would be a yes, and this would be a no. What does that mean? Does that mean that I'm just going to banish things from my wardrobe because, oh my God, in a color analysis, it doesn't look good on my skin? I think there is a more refined approach to that. The idea is that I can still wear what I want to wear. So, what I've done is I have paired it with a thing that complements my skin tone. And to counterbalance it, I am pairing it with a thing that could dull my skin tone. But however, when I pair this thing together and I accessorize it, is not something that will dull me down.
Right.
I just have to understand how to be able to work these colors around for me. So color analysis is great, but it is not even 1/10 of the equation. Right? So it's having to say that little information is actually worse than
Dangerous.
having. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it when you said that, do it, but don't make it as a limitation and just completely shun
Yes.
everything that belongs in that family. Yeah. I think that's
So-
what people do.
And that's very easy to do.
Right.
Now, if there is a certain color that you feel that you don't want to wear, but you can find a solution around it. You probably can find a print that has the same color, right? And that print kind of counterbalances it with a different color. So you can actually wear that color just in a different proportion. You can change whether you're wearing the color on top or on bottom. That makes a world of a difference. To use that as a limitation, I don't think it's necessary.
Don't use this as a holy grail that, no, in my color analysis, red came as a no.
Yeah.
So never even look at red color.
There are just 7 colors here. Everything else is a hue of the same color.
Yeah.
Might as well live it up. And fashion is meant for experimentation. It's meant for, let's not get so many rules into it that also feels like a chore.
True. Yeah. It should not feel like
you happiness, it's supposed to bring you life. That's what fashion is. Let's not take away from it and, add so many technicalities on top of it and, rule books and all that. It's not necessary.
Okay. So now what are some of the evergreen staple pieces, irrespective of the body type, which you feel everyone should have in their wardrobe?
Everyone's favorite question is this.
Because I think we pile up so many things and then we realize, oh, I don't have a nice black trouser, or I don't have a nice belt. So yeah,
Yeah.
I want to hear it from an expert that what are like some of the must haves.
So I think I'll start with the classic, which is the most cliche answer. I think have to have a white shirt. I'm going to also switch it up by saying that if you don't have a very corporate or a professional setting that you like to wear a white shirt to, you can switch
Yeah.
that up with a white t-shirt, something that
Okay.
fits you really, really well, which is very important, and is
Hmm.
made well, that actually falls really well on your body. So
Right.
that I think is very, very primary. Then after that, I think it is really important to also add that you must have all basic color t-shirts in your wardrobe. These form the staple. So think of it like
Mm.
a right, and you have to have a strong foundation. So everything that I am mentioning to you right now is basically the bottommost layer of that pyramid, right?
Okay.
So have a t-shirt that fits you really well in white, in black, and any other monotone like neutral color that you wear. Could be a blue, could be a gray. Then secondly, very important, a well fitted denim, which can easily work for you for a corporate setup, a professional setup, or even in a casual setup. After that, I think a neutral solid blazer, any kind of color that you feel works on your skin tone and goes most of the things that you have in your closet. A neutral blazer is really important. And like you had mentioned before, let's not forget footwear, please. So let's not pay all the attention here. Our feet are really important. It's really important to have an open pair of any kind of neutral heels. So open toed heels, which can work for your dresses, that can work for your bottoms, that can work for your denims, shorts, anything. Or if you're in a professional setting, you can switch that up with a closed toed heel.
Closed. Okay.
Right. But a neutral colored. So any kind of nude or blacks, that depends on what you have in your wardrobe. So whatever the maximum number of things are. And second important footwear is a good pair of sneakers. Comfortable, stylish, and preferably light colored so that they can go with skirts, casuals, even formal pants, anything.
Got it. Got it. So this is how you create a strong foundation.
Yes. And then you
Got
build up on top of it.
Got it. Tina, before we end, I want to ask you two questions. One is like many of the style icons that we know of, they have like a very signature look. So is it important to create that signature look or keep experimenting? And as you said, there are no rules, keep trying whatever works. What do you think is the right approach for someone who is not a lot into fashion, let's say?
Uh, okay. So I would want to tell you,
Hmm.
if you are going to create your own signature style, you will have to be well versed with what your personality is, what you are trying to say with your clothes. Once you understand that, you will more definitely form a signature look. And most people do. And eventually, the other way to look at it is that style is, what is it ultimately? It is your personal expression. Now, you're going to be wanting to say different things when you're 30. You're going to be wanting to say different things when you're 40, right?
Yeah.
And so, how you are conveying all of that is going to anyways evolve. So, as you evolve as a human, you are going to evolve even in terms of your style. So, that is invariably going to happen in life. Even simple things like if you
Yeah.
say weighed like 50 kilos, right? How you saw 50 kilos then versus how you do see 50 kilos now has also
Yeah.
shifted, right?
True.
So at that point
True.
of time, you might be thinking that, oh my God, I'm like, so this thing. And now, right? And now
Yeah.
you must think that, oh wow, like 50 is like so cool, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when that perception also changes.
Yeah.
So maybe you felt fat then, so you couldn't wear a lot of things. But today, at the same weight, you will not feel as fat.
True.
So you
True.
will be able to embrace more things because you don't feel the way that you felt with the same weight.
And same goes for the age that, you at some point you might feel, oh my God, 40 is so old.
Yeah.
And then when you hit that, you feel like it's not so old. I still feel young. And why tone down my expression of fashion? Like,
Exactly.
bring it on.
Exactly. That's, I
Right.
think, evolution.
All right, Tina. So, what's the best way that anybody who wants to reach out to you, get a style consultation from you, what's the best way they can reach out to you?
So I am available on Instagram. I
That's
am
your
Nidhi.
main.
That's my go-to preferred method. I have a Google form there that
Okay.
people can click and just fill. It just asks some basic questions so that I understand where you are in your life, so that before I have a consultation call with you, I can understand how I can best serve you. So it just has
Sure.
a couple of 4 5 questions about you. So you can fill in that form, reach out to me via Instagram, or you can send me an email at Ladytin. So that's ATLADYTIN at
I'll put the
gmail.com.
details in the description. Well, all the best to you,
Thank
Tina.
you.
It was lovely talking to you, and you shared some great nuggets about fashion. And I hope it busted myths of some people around fashion that it's not just vanity, but it's much more deeper. So,
I
thank you
really
very
hope
much.
that I really hope that people understand that they don't have to be scared of fashion,
Yeah,
and it is actually a tool that can, really help you express yourself.
yeah,
You know? So
yeah.
instead of like running away from fashion, or like saying that, oh, what is good, what is not, and all this rule making and everything, I guess like I really hope that people learn to embrace fashion and design in general,
True,
in everyday lives.
true. Love it. Thank you very much, Tina.
Thank
Thanks.
you so much, Asta, for having me. It was lovely talking.
Thank you.